Good afternoon, DAV California members and those who are guests and not members yet. This will be the chapter service officer training portion of our Midwinter conference. It's an annual thing that we do, it's an annual thing we do annually at this time of year. And what we're trying to do by opening it up to the state is for anybody who hasn't had the opportunity to join and go through this process, and this is your first time, which there's 70 of you, welcome and thank you for this. And what we're trying to do is expand our presence in our communities, right? The more service officers out in the community that talk about DAV and what we do and what we bring to the table, the easier it is for individuals like the NSOs that will be helping you learn the process today. It's easy for them to do the work because you've already done the prefrontal process of this, and that's what you're here to learn for today. So with that being said, if you have gone through the training before, you'll get a lot of that beginner stuff this session, but you must be here till the end until Jim gives you a password for tomorrow, because you won't be able to log in without that new password. And that's just to protect us, to make sure that nobody's popping in just to get certified so they can go out into the real world. The last thing I have to say is, if you are not or if you're looking to get certified and you're not a part of a chapter currently, you will have to become a member and be a part of a chapter in order to become a certified service officer. So with that being said, Jim, I'm going to pass it over to you and your team. I appreciate everybody for being here today and giving us your time for Friday and Saturday. And go at it. Heal lives.
All right. Looking at some of the faces. JR, really? You haven't learned anything yet after 20 years? Anyway, my name's Jim Gallagher. I'm the supervisor of the Disabled American Veterans Office in San Diego. As you know, we're all closed. I'm sure a lot of your chapters are closed also, but training's got to be conducted every year, once a year. So I don't know what kind of training aids did they give you, JR?
They haven't sent us anything as far as the manuals or anything like that. I think that's one of the questions that are in the queue right now.
If you go on to, I don't know if you can do it, I've got dual monitors. You can go on to dav.org and membership, and then you can go down, scroll down, it'll give you a copy of the service officer guide. There's also a PowerPoint in there. I've got a book sitting next to me, so you can listen to the three of us blab on for 2-3 hours. I guarantee you we're not going to be till 4 o'clock. I've been here since 5:45 this morning. I'm not staying all day long after going through all these meetings, but the two guys behind me, Lee Thomas and Carlos Gallardo, both been here multiple years as service officers, so any questions you may have, we could probably answer them. I'll answer questions as they come up, but I've got an addendum to go through. We got to get through it all. Otherwise, oh my God, you won't be certified. And then as Robert said, at the end, you have to get a password. He said you'll get it from me. Well, he hasn't given it to me yet. So I'm just telling you, that's what you got to do when it's done. If you don't go through the whole thing today, you don't have to worry about showing up tomorrow. So off we go. I'm going to start out with mission statement. Pretty simple. Fulfilling the promises of the men and women who served. Core values. Anybody tell me what the core values of the DAV are? Service, quality, leadership, and integrity. Simple as that. You can rearrange those letters any way you want, SLIC, SLIQ, but those are the core values. We're going to provide advocacy. We are not an advocate. All an advocate is somebody who speaks or writes on behalf of a person's evidence. You don't have the evidence, you don't need to bother advocating for it. I'm not a magician. I don't use supernatural powers to make wondrous things appear. which a lot of people think that's what you do. I do not. We provide quality advocacy, leadership. That's why you got this thing going on during the pandemic, is because somebody was forthright thinking that maybe we could do it on screen. It's not the best way, but it's the only way we got right now, since Governor Newsom has closed everything for 3 weeks, is now 6. I don't know when anything's going to happen. So this is going to be the way of life. Chapter 2, which I'm the adjutant of in San Diego, we meet at the veterans home, which is full of elderly. Well, we can't meet there because they don't want any people coming to the hill there and getting them sick. I agree. I don't want to be sick. I've got 2 employees that had the COVID. One's still out a month later, so it ain't pleasant. So always remember that. Service, leadership, integrity is the big one. The old, do the right thing when nobody's looking. If you don't know what to do, you have 3 regional offices in this state, 4 NSO offices, but 3 regional offices: Sacramento, Oakland, LA, and mine. I did 22 years in the military. I've done 22 years here at the DAV. I'm getting old, so I'm hoping one of these days I'll get on the list for a vaccination and I'll be high up on the list. But now they raised it to 75. I'm screwed. I can never get the break. I can never get head of the line privileges anymore. So you've got people you can ask. Don't be afraid to ask. The first thing I tell everybody is, if you're not doing anything and somebody calls, it's a DSO, CSO, they probably have somebody sitting in front of them. They need an answer. They don't want to keep the guy staring at them for 2 hours. So if we can, we'll immediately pick up the call, answer the email, so you can go about your business. And that's the way I've run this shop for 15 years. So it seems to have worked out. No complaints about nobody ever answers me. I get that from clients. If they're not head of the line, they're upset. Well, I've called you twice and it was busy. And that's whose fault? Mine? No. So remember that. Provide the quality and integrity. Those are the 2 big ones that you need to be a service officer. One of the people, when I first came on board, is in this class. JR, speak up. I know you're out there. I've seen you. And he ran it the same way.
Yes, you're
Yes,
absolutely
there he
correct.
is.
You're absolutely correct.
Poindexter woke up. Do you know where you are? Let's have a little game. Do you know where you are right now?
I am. I had to get a red shirt on. Red shirt Friday.
I started in 1999 as a DSO. And when I became a TSO, when I became an NSO, JR became the supervisor. So I know we got a lot of experience out in the crowd. James Bogan's on board, Jasmine. Those people have a lot of experience. So if you get stuck, rather than do it wrong, call somebody. I can only say that once or twice more, because I don't want to see a claim come in here that's all jacked up, because then I got to get a hold of the veteran. If you're a CSO, you've probably gone your way to your job or whatever you're doing. I'm here all the time. So and they are too. So one of us is going to have to get somebody an answer. And I've never met the person. So you can see how that will go. Questions, anybody? Let me see. Somebody wants to chat. That may be a question. Now you're going to make me look my age by having to put on my glasses. Talk amongst yourselves. I don't even know where my glasses are. No, my glasses. Where are they? All right. Nobody leave the room. Got them. All right, let's try the first chat. Get these out of the way. Is there supposed to be some sort of manual or email to accompany this training? Well, I already told you where to get the manual, so that one's out of the way. Or email to accompany any of this. I think Robert mentioned that. How long is today's meeting? How long for tomorrow? It's supposed to be 4 and 4. Could be 3 and 3. But what's the next one? The manual and statement of representation and the language was sent as part of the email. Okay, then we got that. So, Phil Graff from California says, supposed to be some sort of manual. You got it. Any other chat or questions while I'm on here? I don't want to keep doing this. I'll do it at the end. So those are the answers. If you're looking for a statement of representation, you can get it online, DAV.org. You can get it from departments email. You can get it from a whole lot of places. So back to the training. Your number one thing is to remember when you're filling out any kind of claim form, do it completely. Many times I've gotten claims that are like, now you need 2 signatures for a power of attorney and no signature from the veteran. It's useless. I can't use it. You can either try to get a hold of the veteran, get back to him, or goes in the shred machine. The other one, not only complete, but accurate. If somebody's going to move and you know, and they know where they're moving to, put that address in there. I have 5 TSOs, 2 classes all over here in Arizona. And if it's here, I can fill in this address. But like I said, out, put that address. They'll schedule physicals and all sorts of stuff in their hometown. So make sure it's complete and make sure it's accurate. They don't need, in most cases, if you're filing an initial claim, you don't need direct deposit. Nobody's given them any money yet. They'll ask for it. So that you don't need. Social Security cards, numbers, you can give later, but get the claim going. Now have an intent to file. If they don't know what they want to do or they're not sure, fill out an ITF, an intent to file a claim. Make sure you re-emphasize with them, you have not filed a claim. They'll come back a year later and go, oh, I filed a claim. No, you didn't. You intended to, but you never told the VA what your intent was. So you got to ask them, if you're not sure now, if you sign an intent to file today, you have 1 year to go gather your evidence. So go get it. Hang on a second.
They're chatting with you, asking you to share your screen so they can follow along with you. If you read the chat thing, yeah.
But he doesn't have. But he doesn't have.
I answered them all.
He doesn't have a PowerPoint.
Oh, you didn't read? Okay.
He doesn't have that.
All right, that's what they were asking.
All right.
Do you want me to share my screen so that they can see it on my end?
Yeah, you can, I guess. I don't know. You'll have to keep clicking it.
Yeah. Well.
All right. Back to business. Since I'm old, I use this every day. I don't usually use this kind of platform, so I don't have PowerPoints. The PowerPoints are online somewhere, but I only got the one screen. Anyway, getting back to it, accuracy, quality. Make sure the claim is quality. If you don't know if something should go in somewhere, call. Ask the question. Nobody has any trouble giving you the answer. Everybody see that? I put up the PowerPoint. Hopefully you can all see it. Dun-dun-dun-dun. He must be playing with it. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Go find out if he's done. It keeps flipping.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
When you attempt to file, how long do you have from the incident that happened to file that claim?
You can file a claim from the age of usually 17 or 18 till the age of death. You have to prove it happened in the military. You may need what's called a Nexus Letter, a connection from a doctor that says, it's at least likely as not, that's where it came from. I'll give you an example. A guy that had to be tested for high blood pressure right before he got out, it was high, but it was only essential hypertension. Now he develops high blood pressure. Could you get a doctor to say it's at least likely? Show them the evidence you have. That could do it. There's a lot of ways to do it, but there's no time limit on filing a claim. If it's an intent to file, he's got 1 year to get the evidence to the VA.
Well, my
So-
question is, okay, you're out of the military, you are a veteran, and something happened to you in the military hospital, okay? And it was their negligence that it happened.
Who are we talking about? The militaries?
From a military hospital.
Right.
Something had happened during surgery. And how long do you have to file a claim?
I would say the easiest answer to that is file it as soon as you can. Can't file it while you're in the military. But once you get out, within a year, a lot of things will be service connectable anyway. But why
Okay,
wait 20 years if something happened to you in the military that resulted in residuals, complications, things like that? Why not file it right away?
Well, it didn't happen in the military. That's why I'm asking.
Well, then it's not service connected. It's got to
Okay.
be in the military. You got to be on active duty in the military when the event happened. So if that's not the case, then there's no claim to be had.
Okay,
All
sounds good.
right.
Thank you.
There's 7 ways to get service connected. Number 1, direct service connection. Somebody whacked you in the nose while you're in the military and it's in your medical record, that's direct. Secondary, let's say you have a bad hip. Now you're getting a bad back. That's secondary to your service-connected hip. That can be rateable. Hospitalization by the VA. You're not going to file, if you file an 1151 claim with the VA, you're saying, I got injured in the hospital. Your hospital, that's covered. Voc rehab. If you're on voc rehab and you injure yourself in compliance with your job, let's say you're a boiler tech and the boiler exploded on you, that could be service connected. That's what you were training for voc rehab. We'll go through the rest of them later on. There's also state laws about service activities. The state may have benefits for you. But once you get a power of attorney with the DAV, all we have to do is look this stuff up. You'll be in the VA system. We can see whatever evidence you've submitted. So if we have to, we can work on the claim. Let me see if this is working yet.
Just tell them next.
Huh?
Just tell them next, you can hear you.
Yeah, but I want to see the screen myself. Slide 5. Anyway, not to delay it. Power of attorney. I can't do anything with your claim if you don't allow me to. So in other words, if we don't have your 2122 power of attorney, I can't do anything for you. Because number 1, the law, PII, PHI, all that stuff says you don't have access to it, nor will we give it to you until you sign one. And I get emails all day long. It's like, can you look this up? Can't, we don't have your power of attorney. Now I can send you one and you can send it back, but there's not going to be an immediate answer. I can only believe what you're telling me. So remember that. You can call up and say, can you check this guy's claim? And I'm going to tell you, no, we don't represent him. A lot of times right here in this building, we're in the office. We're not seeing clients actively, but we're the only one in the building doing it. The rest of them are either home working or not working at all. So they have a tendency to want to use the DAV as a little side platform and say, well, I'll go have them do it. No, you won't. Unless you want to sign a power of attorney over to us, which takes a little while, then you're on your own. Or you can go, but wait till the American Legion, the VFW, until they open up and contact them. I can't help you. So you got to let them know that I can't help you. You're going to have to go get somebody else to do it for you. I won't, because it's against the law. So, and the beauty is they want you to do it until something goes wrong, then it's your fault. I don't care what it is. It's your fault for letting me do that. So always make sure you get your facts right. That's part of quality too. Have you got a claim? Did you ever file a claim? I don't think so. Okay, then you need a 526EZ because it's an original claim. But if you filed and get denied, you can use a supplemental claim, 0966. You can do all sorts of good stuff. So the number one thing is appointment of a veteran service organization as your rep. You can have an attorney, you can pay for whatever you want. This is free. And we have people that have had it free and then went and got an attorney, and as soon as the attorney came up with a bill, they want to duck out and come back. No, your attorney screwed it up, let him finish it. Some of the forms on a power of attorney are only to be filled out by the National Service Officer. If there's any limitations on the blocks, again, I can't scroll this over. Keep hitting the next slide. If there's any limitations in any of the blocks saying, I don't want you to look at my drug history, well, then I can't help you. I have to have full access to your record. Hopefully everybody gets that, and the signature block underneath will be done by the NSO or TSO. If you have authority to do it, it had to come from headquarters. So leave 23A and B blank. We'll take care of that. Only provide information to DAV, not to the VA. If you go using the VA and then call me and say, well, how come you didn't get it? You didn't give it to me. Again, I'm not a magician. You've got to, if we represent you, let us represent you. Give all this stuff to us, we'll get it to the VA. You should obtain all the evidence and then provide it. Most of the time, if you're pretty well just out, well, you got a service treatment record. The law says you file a claim, the VA's got to go get it. So bring it with you, turn it in, a copy, please. Don't turn in the original. You lose the original, you're pretty much doomed for the rest of your life. Now you got to prove it. So provide it with a completed EZ form for new claims with a 2122, previously claimed or denied, and a request for increase for service connection. Those can be done. Once the formal, and this is a fully developed claim, is submitted, it's recommended no other evidence be submitted. So get it all in one sock. Claims previously denied should be filed on a VA form 0995. Decision review request and supplemental. We'll cover that again later in the training.
Hey, Jim.
Let me see if development is needed, submitted intent to file. In other words, you don't have the evidence right now, but you think you can get it. That's where the intent to file comes. And it has to be a not previously claimed and denied and a request for increased evaluations for service-connected conditions. 2122, it's going to start every one of these same way. 210966, intent to file for all new claims. Form 0966 protects an effective date for up to 1 year. Not a year and a day, 1 year. For new claims and requests for increased evaluations for service-connected conditions. Got it?
Hey, Jim. Can you hear me?
There's no extensions on that either. And I'm not going to do another one, so you get another year. So you get one shot. That's giving you 1 year to do it.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
I think somebody has a question.
Hey, Jim. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. The
Uh,
training at the
oh,
forum. Share your
okay.
screen.
I had a question. I'm a DSO in the Monterey area. One thing I wanted to cover was wonder if a veteran comes to you and he says he already has an attorney. And
Goodbye. Have fun.
yeah, that's what I wanted to know, because unless we get a letter from that attorney saying that he closed the case, right?
Unless
And that,
he's no longer represented by an attorney.
okay, yeah, that was my question.
Yeah, then he's good to go.
Okay, thank you.
You take his claim, but people don't realize you're paying money. If you got like a retro check or a VA compensation check, it's like you have to pay the attorney because you don't have I don't want to pay it. The VA is going to take it, and you are going to pay him. You signed a contract to get him into it. You're going to have to pay him to get out of it. And usually that's why my attorney can't do anything. Again, I'm not a magician. If he can't get it, why not? And if there's evidence, all you have to do is read your rating decision to know, hey, you didn't have any evidence. My job is complete. Again, maintain close communication with the DAV National Service Office. Always. If you have a question, go to the experts. I got manuals all over the place if I need them. That way you're giving the client the best representation you can. Don't shoot from the hip. Look it up. If you have to pull out the 38 codification of federal regulations to look and answer a question, the client doesn't mind. He knows you now, you're not shooting from the hip. You looked it up. It's in the law book. This is what it says. Any right-minded person go, okay, I see what I need now, or I see what's going to happen. Because you just go, well, I think they do this. I think they do that. I don't have anybody in the office saying they think they can do something. You can either do it and you do it, or don't get your foot stuck in it. Same way with guaranteeing something. Anybody ever heard of a person go, I guarantee you that's 30%? Don't do that. Number one, you're not the final arbiter. You don't know. You're not in the decision-making process. You're just preparing, presenting, and prosecuting if you have to. That's all you do. You don't have to go to court. We go to court. All you have to do is prepare it correctly, give a quality claim, prepare it, and then we'll present it to the VA. They make the decision. So if you guarantee somebody something and they don't get it, who do you think they're coming after? The idiot who told me, I'll guarantee you I'm going to get 50%. Don't make any kind of guarantee. I'm filling out paperwork. Even if they ask, oh, what do you think? You've had them before. How much do you think they'll get? We're all like snowflakes, kitten. We're all different. I don't know. If I tell you 10, you probably get 0. If I tell you 0, you probably get 10. So I don't make any of those guarantees. Don't do it. You'll regret it if you do. So there should be no questions on that at all. What's your number one job as a service officer when anybody comes to you? Certainly quality, yes. Preparing, presenting, yes. Knowing all the answers, no. You're educating the client. You work in this stuff, they don't. So all you're doing is providing them with knowledge. Many times I tell clients, don't do this, because what will happen is they'll start looking at your whole claim, you'll get reduced. Can I guarantee it? No. But the VA is known to do that. They give you 90%, you want 100, you open your claim to all 90% and your new claim. They can re-examine you, re-inspect you, and then tell you, well, we've seen sustained improvement, so we're going to reduce you by 30%. That's not a good answer. That's why you don't guarantee it. I don't know. I mean, it seems kind of lame that but they'll beg it out of you. How much? What's the law say? It's like you have to have all these things. Oh, I got them. That's not what the doctor said. So I'll guarantee you, it ain't going to be what you think it is. So stop thinking about that. We all like money. We all like health care. It's like, just wait for the answer. When people call me, what's the status of my claim? Pending. You'll get an answer just as well as I will, and you'll probably get it first. So it's pending until they make a decision. Always remember that. You're here to advocate, prepare, present, and prosecute. That's it. We'll review the claim when we get it, obviously. Once we get it, we'll forward it to the VA. That's why I said the DSO and CSO probably won't get any answer from the VA. But you can call me if somebody has a question, what's my status? I usually tell them pending. Did you get an answer yet? No, pending. I can't make it any easier than that. Does it go fast? Depends. I've had clients that have taken 14 years on appeal only to get denied again. Now it takes a little quicker, but it takes a little bit of time. The VA is run by human beings. They get sick, they go off, they throw it to the other side of the desk. It's not a quick process. It's quicker, let's say. So once it's submitted, any developments such as CNP exams, stuff like that, they will be completed. Does everybody require a comp and pen exam? No. Well, they never examined me. They didn't want to. They'll make the decision without it. Maybe you have enough evidence. Maybe they don't believe that you have it, but they'd notify you. So they may not notify you that you have a CNP is what it's called. Well, okay, you didn't get a CNP. Maybe you don't need it. VA exams if necessary, and then guess what? They'll make a decision. And once you get the decision, you have all sorts of stuff. You can go to higher level review. You can do stuff where maybe you can add new evidence, maybe you can't. Higher level review usually says, we'll look at what you got. And if we don't agree with it, then you're going to get it. Then you can go to a board appeal. You can continue right on up to the Supreme Court if you want to. But once they're done at the BVA, we're done. You have to go to basically a federal circuit court with an attorney to argue your claim. You got to pay for the attorney. The BVA railroads is where the stop is. There's the depot. You pulled in. Now, if you want to pursue it, Veterans Appeals Court, all that, you got to keep on going right to the Supreme Court, but we'll leave you at the BVA. If they review it and decide we're going to grant it, they'll give you another letter that we went through the review process and we're granted it. Or they'll turn around and say, no, we agree with the evaluations, all that stuff. That's why they have remands. If the board thinks there's something missing that they can get, they will remand it back to the regional office of jurisdiction. They'll have to do opinions by 2 doctors, all that, whatever they want. Once the remand's done, then it'll go back and then they'll make the decision. These take time. They take time and sometimes effort. It's like people always ask you, what's the DAV do for me? What do you want me to do? Fluff your pillow, leave a mint on your bed? This is your claim. I'm preparing, prosecuting. I'm doing my job. You'll get them again. What does the DAV do? Look it up. Disaster relief, COVID relief is over $2 million they've given in less than a year. Sports clinics, it just goes on and on. So I think Northern California probably has gotten way more money from the DAV than a lot of communities. Tornadoes, hurricanes, we're there. But specifically for you, nothing I got to do. I already did it. I prepared the claim. So remember, supplemental, present a new claim with additional evidence that is new and relevant. Don't give them the same doctor report from 5 years ago. What's new? What do they need to look at to maybe do it in your favor? Higher level review, entirely new review of the same evidence by a higher level claims adjudicator. You can't submit any additional evidence with a higher level review. The appeal, notice of disagreement, will be reviewed by a veterans law judge at the Board of Veterans Appeals. We do that all the time. It's even more difficult now that it's virtual. It's easy when they come in, you sit down in front of the judge and you tell them. Most of the time, even without COVID, you're not sitting face to face. I'll sit down with the veteran and we'll be in front of a big screen giving evidence. Then the judge won't make the decision that day. He'll come back later with his decision or her decision. Hopefully everybody understands that. Supplemental, new and relevant. Higher level review, no new evidence. Board of Veterans, they could request new evidence. It all just depends on the claim itself. So every claim is different. 2 lanes are local VA regional office options, commonly referred to as a local lanes or VBA lanes. Work is either of the local lanes will be assigned through the national work queue. The 3rd lane, the BVA lane, is worked directly by the BVA in Washington, D.C. I always tell people you want to keep the claim here. Hopefully you'll get the answer you want, but if you don't, you're not satisfied, then you got to move over to the other lanes. So claimants may request review of the VA's decision. Usually if it's a DRO decision, they'll give it to another DRO to take a look at it. The definition of a supplemental claim is a claim for benefits under laws administered by the secretary filed by a claimant who had previously filed a claim for the same or similar benefits on the same or similar basis. The VA is required to re-adjudicate the claim if new and relevant evidence is presented. Quickest way to get a no from one of those is don't provide any more evidence. No, we're not changing our mind. Request by the appellant to have their claim appeal reviewed by VBA based on additional evidence, new and material to the benefit sought. Supplemental claim must be filed on the appropriate application. They used to be able to file it on a piece of paper, notebook sheet. Now they have to have the proper form. Here's another bit of advice. Don't Google up the form. You Google up the form, and if you notice under most of it, there's a date under it. And I've had more than one person Google it up, send it in, and it's like, that's like 6 years outdated. It's no good, they'll reject it. Go to va.gov/forms and look it up by the VA. They have to have the correct form.
Hey, Jim.
That's what the website is there for. So remember that. Don't just shoot in the dark. Pay attention to what you're doing.
Hey,
And
Jim,
a
I
lot
think,
of people, especially a couple of years ago, that just used to be you only had to have the veteran signature on a power of attorney. Now you have to have the representative signature too. Things change all the time. We're sitting in a change right now. This virtual convention is a change. In the 21 years I've been here, I've never been to a virtual convention. First one. And I think Enrique Ramos, who runs the IT, is doing a good job. Everybody can see and hear. That's all that's needed. What does new evidence means? Not previously submitted to an agency adjudicators, and relevance means evidence that tends to prove or disprove a matter in an issue and a claim. That's all. Don't have mirrored evidence, which just shows the same thing you gave us yesterday. Stop doing that. Well, it's got a different doctor's name on it, but the evidence didn't change. You have to make sure that it's relevant. In other words, am I submitting this that'll get it in a favorable light or keep it where it was? The intent to file does not apply to supplemental claims. Remember that too. All right. Let me see if we got, no, we don't. You'll encounter stuff every day that you don't know. You'll also encounter stuff that nobody knows. You'll look at this and go, what were you trying to get? I had an email yesterday from a guy, the whole email said, also a leg. What does that mean? That's all it didn't say his name, didn't say anything. It just said, also a leg. Now I can only hope it was from a previous email somewhere, but you'll get those two. They just basically don't make sense. This happened in the military. It's like Agent Orange. I was exposed to Agent Orange. You never left March Air Force Base. Oh yeah, but they had people coming back and forth, and I, ran into them. But now that they've expanded those things, so you'll run the gamut of all sorts of stuff. Higher level review. A higher level review, an HLR, will consist of de novo review of the issue based solely on the same evidence. They're not going to take new evidence. You're saying you want somebody to look at it that might be more experienced, might know more. They don't want new evidence. You got other places that go for that. Somebody keeps flipping my screen. Provides an opportunity. Claimant is required to file a higher level review in a form prescribed by the Secretary of the VA. Anybody know who that is currently? DATTRAN. That guy is the acting Secretary of the VA. But claimants must complete a 0996 decision review request. If you're thinking, I know that stuff should have been approved, I want them to look at it again, so be it. They'll look at it again. Intent to file, it would not apply to higher level review. Claimants don't have the option of presenting new and relevant evidence outside of a supplemental claim, and you're asking another guy to look at the same thing. Now, if you worked with a colleague next to you all day long, every day, 7 days a week, and he did the original one, and you get the one for a higher level review, I don't know about you, but I think he's probably going to go, yeah, you're right. Unless you don't like the guy, then he'll nitpick the hell out of it. The two instances in the BVA lane. Thus, if any evidence is received outside of those instances, it will not be considered or acted upon in any way. BVA lane, supplemental claim lane, and the higher level review lane. I wish I could hear everybody, but don't question the mighty Oz. I got all this stuff right here. Which BVA lane to choose? Supplemental if your claim needs new evidence. You don't need any new evidence, but think a mistake was made, then you go to higher level review. The VA will help you gather the evidence. You file a claim, you tell them that I get treated at the VA hospital, they'll go looking for the information. Once you file a claim, they're going to go get everything they can anyway on you. Service treatment records, personnel records. By law, they got to do that. Also, if you have clients that keep a little resource guide twice in the last week, I lost the records, I don't know where they are, what do I do? Either you go to the archives, which you got to realize right now is closed. However, you can go to Elliott Road in Quantico if you're in the Marine Corps. You can go to Anacostia, you can go a lot of other places to look. But if they absolutely, the VA can't get them after the second try, you're going to have to find them. So pay attention, especially if they're still in, pay attention. When I first went in the 60s, I just wanted in. I didn't pay attention to anything. Did my 6 years initially and then got out. I got a 10% rating for my broken back because I had an uncle that was a World War I veteran who was also the commander of the DAV in Massachusetts. So, I didn't know any better. But once you retire, ooh, I knew a lot better then. I knew what my benefits were because I researched it. So if they're still in, tell them to do that. If you've had something that's bothering you and you're still in the military, go see somebody. Get it on record. That way you don't have to be searching around for the rest of your life for somebody to provide it. Go get it. You're still in the military. So I would say if you're going to file either one of those, higher level review or supplemental, it's going to take a minimum of 125 days. That's just an average. It's going to take some time. So build up your case and then submit it. Hopefully no questions. BVA appeal lanes, direct review, receives your direct review by the board of the evidence that was before the VA and its decision on appeal. The board has a year timeliness goal for the docket. 1 year. Now you're starting on the long road. Evidence only lane must submit evidence within the 90-day window. In other words, you want to submit more evidence, buddy statement, lay statements, whatever they are. I always tell clients, why didn't you submit this to begin with? Maybe we wouldn't going down the 1 year road. The board does not have a duty to assist, and the record is closed. Over 365 days timeliness goal for this docket is likely. Well, then 600 days is likely too. The hearing lane. A hearing will be scheduled for a board hearing. Additionally, the appellant may submit evidence within the 90-day window following the scheduled board hearing. The board does not have a duty to assist, and the record is closed. More than 3 years is likely for this docket number. So now you see it gets into time. So asking me, when is it done? I got no idea. Depends on where you are and what you're doing. Always remember that. Don't guarantee time, money, health care. Oh, you'll be 50%. Then he gets 40. He's not entitled to full health care. He's going to have co-pays. Don't get involved in it. It's not your job. BVA lane. A claimant is required to file an appeal on a form prescribed by the secretary, a VA form 10182. Claimants must complete it, and the intent to file would not apply to the BVA appeal either. I see 2 questions. Let me take them. I got hands up here. Pilots are very reluctant to talk to a flight surgeon, I guess, with a complaint of fear of being grounded. Then the problem never gets documented. How do they get around this but get info to the VA? They don't. If you didn't tell anybody because you didn't want to be grounded, number one, you put the crew in jeopardy, but number 2, you got no evidence. You can say, I was a pilot and I got sick. Okay. You didn't want to get grounded. How do you know, number 1, I would have grounded you? You want the flight pay, that's fine. Then you don't need the VA pay because you already got paid. You can't, it's like people that come up to you and say, well, I was in the Marine Corps and I was never allowed to go to sick bay. Bullshit. I was in the Marine Corps too. You were allowed to go. Nobody prevented you. They didn't block the door. I don't want to be a sick bay commando. Well, then you got no evidence. Simple as that. So what do you want me to do about it? Either go find the evidence or you're pretty much not going to get anything. At what age can a vet stay as IU? Been IU for 50, you can stay there forever. IU has no time limit. Number 1, it's not based on age. Even though the government would like to base it on age, we'll cut them off at 65 because they get Social Security. 2 different things. 2 vastly different things. So if you're on for 15 years, you can be on for 20. The only way you're going to get off it is go get a job. If you can't work because of your service-connected conditions, it's going to remain that way. So what age can a vet stay as IU? Any age. I got 90-year-old that's on IU. Again, IU is pretty easy. If you can maintain or sustain gainful employment, then you're going to come off it. Even if you get a job, they're going to keep it for a year before they take it away. So age, any age. MST claims process still the same? Yeah, basically, although they did change the upgrading of discharges. Now, if you get a dishonorable discharge and not under honorable or not other than honorable, I'm talking bad conduct and dishonorable. If you had an MST problem and you were thrown out because of that, PTSD, they may relook at it. So never discount anything, but the process is always going to be the same. Evidence, claim forms to the VA, additional exams maybe, and then a decision. Hopefully that answered those. Let's get back on here. Appeal framework, VBA design, we just went through that. Who's pulling the trigger on these?
I am. Let me know if you want to skip this.
Yeah, Let's hope none of them have to go to an appeal next. Here we go. More than 20% of female soldiers and veterans sexually assaulted while serving. Female soldiers far more likely to be raped by a fellow service member than killed in combat. Well, thank God they're not killed in combat. What are you comparing it to death? Approximately 25% of the victims do not report being raped because the person to report to was the rapist. That's a fascinating statistic. Wonder why they go into that job. Since 2006, more than 95,000 service members have been sexually assaulted in the military. Military prosecutes less than 5% of these sexual assault cases. Less than a third of those result in imprisonment. Next one. Both women and men can experience military sexual trauma during their service. MST refers to sexual assault, sexual harassment that occurred while the veteran was in the military. About 1 in 5 women and 1 in 100 men have told their VA provider they experienced sexual assault or repeated threatening sexual harassment while in the military. All veterans seen in Veterans Health Administration facilities are asked about experiences of sexual trauma because we know that any type of trauma can affect a person's physical and mental health even many years later. I also know that people can recover from trauma. VA services to help the veterans to do this. I always say, if you're not going to report it, you can give a description to the VA doctor or whatever. And it's like, but if there's police reports, anything even alluding to it, get it and use it. And then they ought to imprison anybody that did it. But mental and physical health conditions related to MST is free. Treatment is free anyway. Veterans may be eligible for free MST-related care, even if they're not eligible for other VA care. So remember that you don't have to be rated. You don't have. If you need the help, go get the help. Please go get the help. Due to the personal and sensitive nature of MST stressors, victims often do not report or document the event when it occurs due to shame, guilt, or fear of reprisal. VA has specific regulations and procedures for MST claims that assist in developing evidence to support these claims. Regulations with special liberalizing consideration for claims for PTSD based on MST are found in the 38 CFR section 3.304 F5. DAV has expanded the Service Officer Guide chapter on compensation to include extensive information about helping veterans file MST claims, including interview techniques for service officers when assisting potential claimants. I've sat here for years dealing with mental health issues, physical issues, men and women. Some women don't like to talk to men about that. Some women don't like to talk about, female body parts with men. Well, that's fine. We got women here. That's what they're here for. They'll help you too, but we will too. So don't think that all offices have a female NSO. They may or they may not. It just depends. Types of evidence, medical treatment reports. They don't use disability benefits questionnaires much anymore. Doctor can fill one out, it wouldn't hurt. Physician statements, lay statement, somebody who knew you before you went in the military and knew you when you got out. Look, John's missing an arm. He had both arms when he went in. Well, that's a lay statement. I heard about John missing an arm, or I was serving with him. It's like, that's a buddy statement. Service records. Many people that have mental disorders, depression, anxiety, sometimes all I do is look at their evals. Why was he suddenly a subpar sailor when he was haze gray and underway? All of a sudden it stopped. And he mentions the event and when it happened. That's a statement that can be used as evidence.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
I think there's some questions about the MST part.
I got that one. This one. It's going to be smaller. Got that one. Got that one. No, I meant what forms I use for MS. Form would be, you're filing a claim. You're filing a claim for whatever it is. A 70891 would be what happened. You can use it or not, but it's the same form you'd use for anything. Forms aren't going to change based on disease or condition. Would we be able
Hey,
to-
Jim, you mind if I expand on that question?
Yeah, hang on a second. The next question was, can we get a copy of these slides? Yeah, go to DAV.org member, go down, you get the whole service guide, you'll get copies of the slides. They've been available for years. Go ahead. In
Okay,
fact, I
hey,
tell you what,
J-
why don't you come in and Lee will go over and press that button and I'll get out of here.
Okay, just to answer that question in regards to what forms to use for the MST claim.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, always use the 526 EZ. That's the main form you're going to use to file the claim. The form for MS to report the incident, the description of the incident, time and place, location, unit, is going to be form 21-0781 alpha. Okay, 21-0781 alpha is the one to report for MST or personal assault. If you're claiming just PTSD in general for any other reason, there is same form without the alpha. So 21-0781. And that's just a claim statement in support of claim for PTSD. So there's two separate forms to claim PTSD and MST, okay? But always use the 21-526 EZ, which is a claims application when filing for it. So I'll just pick up. Does that answer the question for you guys? Lee, is there any other questions on the dash?
No.
Okay, so I think Jim left off on effective dates. So the intent to file is what saves your effective date. So always make sure that should be one of the first things that you submit along with the power of attorney, the 21-22, the representation form. Power of attorney and intent to file should be the first two forms because those saves your effective dates. Okay. Protection rules. Okay, so this some people might not know about this, but 10 years, once you've had a condition that's rated for 10 years, a minimum of 10 years, it basically protects that they can't no longer sever the condition. Okay, they can't take it away, but after 20 years, okay, they can reduce it. Okay, they can't reduce it anymore. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, the goal is to keep your ratings for 20 years or more, and you can be safe to hold on to those. Always make sure you guys are protecting veterans information in your guys' work area, in your guys' chapters. Maintaining privacy is key, especially when dealing with mental health issues or really any medical issues. But just make sure that you have a location where you can talk in private. You don't want to have them out in the open where other people can hear what's going on. Ethics and conduct. You may not accept any gifts, money, or favors for your services provided as a DSO or CSO. A lot of times veterans are very grateful for the services that we provide. And so you filed a claim for them, they came back and they got 100%, they got a retro pay of 50,000 and they go, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you $5,000 because you helped me. I've heard of those stories. Don't take it. If they want to make some kind of contribution, tell them, hey, make a check or donation to the DAV fund or donation to the organization, but not to the personal individual. Okay. You could be held liable for taking the gifts. Okay, if they buy you lunch, you know, we think that would be kind of okay. If they just want to buy you some lunch, that would probably be okay. But no gifts, no money, things like that.
Great.
And then obviously you're liable for any misconduct not in compliance with DAV policies relating to standards. So I think we're all grown men and women, and we should know how to act. And that's part of the integrity part of making sure that we're doing the right things.
Bring them back. Do another hour.
All right. Do we need to take a break right now and then 10, 15 minutes?
That's what he was saying. 10 minutes break. Come on back.
Okay, we'll go. Just to let people catch up, and if you have questions, we'll be on here and we'll answer any questions you might have. So we'll take a 15-minute break. It's 2 o'clock, so 2:15 we'll resume the training session. But if you have any questions, we'll be on here for you guys to respond to your questions.
On the bottom left.
If you would like to know how to fill out a form, I would you can always call your regional office if you want to go through it step by step. It's a little time consuming to go through each and every single form that we're going to probably discuss. But a lot of the forms are pretty self-explanatory. Name, veteran social, date of birth, right? Claim conditions you're claiming. Are you homeless? You know, so they're pretty self-explanatory. But if there's a question on one of the forms that, you know, you don't know what the veteran should write down, always call your regional office. What was the VA form number for a supplemental claim? That's a 20-0995. 20-0995. Okay, if you want to get the materials, the PowerPoint, it is on the portal. So if you go to dav.org, you go to the service desk, and then there's a tab that says DSO, CSO certification training. Select that, and it'll give you the PowerPoint that we're using today. Tomorrow you'll go to the same spot. This is CSO level 1, training level 1, and tomorrow will be training level 2. So that's where you can get the training materials that we're using today. Question. Also, while the VSO cannot receive any compensation for filling out forms, if they are also a notary, they cannot receive compensation for that service. Yeah, I would assume so. If you are a notary, you still can't. You can't accept any money while representing DAV for the services. Remember, this is a volunteer service, so you're volunteering your time. So you, even if you're a certified notary, you should still not be receiving any compensation. There is nothing that needs to be notarized as far as what you got to submit to the VA. Nothing needs to be notarized anyway.
Could you repeat that one part about the PowerPoint?
On how to get the materials for the PowerPoint?
Yes, please.
Okay, so if you go to dav.org,
DAV.org,
yeah, and you go into the service desk guide,
service desk. Okay,
there will be a location where it's gonna say DSO CSO certification training,
oh, CSO training, okay,
and then you click on that, and then it'll open up and it'll give you a bunch of PowerPoints. You're gonna select the one that says training level 1.
okay,
Okay, that's the one that we're using today.
okay,
It's a chapter service officer certification training level 1.
okay.
If the one for tomorrow is going to be level 2.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Robert Cruz. Ernest Hilger, please email a list of forms with current form numbers which are in effect now. Okay. So what you want to do is, again, like Jim was saying earlier, you want to make sure that you go to the va.gov website to download these forms. Those are the most up-to-date forms. You do not want to just Google the form because people want to be nice and they want to post them up like that, but they could be outdated. So these forms change. So a lot of these forms will have a date at the bottom. But if you use a form that's from 2016, there might be an updated form from 2019. So always go to va.gov, search VA forms, and it will give, and you can type in PTSD form. It'll pop it up. If you know the number of the form, you can type in the form number. But if you don't, you can just type in what you're looking for. Representation form, PTSD, post-traumatic stress statement, statement in support of claim. So that's where you can get that information. I unfortunately don't have a list to give you. Am I right, Michael Smith? Am I right that the 10 and 20-year timelines start at claim award date, not the date of filing your claim? That's it goes from the date of the award, and that's correct. So from the date that you were awarded those things. So if they file a claim, this month, and then 2 years later they get awarded, but then obviously the effective date is today's date. They go from today's date. Alan Pagdalao shared the link, www.va.gov /find TAC forms // That's where you can find the VA forms, the most up-to-date forms. I'll leave it up there for a while. Can you guys see that?
No,
You guys can't see that? Okay. Let me see if I can. I'll repeat it one more time. www.va.gov, that's GOV, /find -forms /.
yes.
Oh, we got through the questions.
Excellent.
Let me see if some of these. Some questions that might have been dismissed earlier. I think those were answered. Okay. Melissa Sousa, do you need to sign into DAV.org to get the service desk guide tab? Yes, you do. And it should be, if you're a member, you should be able to sign into it. Armando Hernandez, is there a form or template that will guide doctors as to what a Nexus letter should include? Okay, there is some templates, and I would probably reach out to your local regional office. I'm sure they have an example that they could share with you. Um, but really, the biggest thing is for the Nexus. Obviously, Nexus, in case people don't know what that means, it's a medical opinion letter, right? It bridges a gap between the in-service injury or disability to the current disability. So it links that together. As long as the doctor explains that there's at least a 50% chance, and the words that the VA likes to hear is at least as likely as not, meaning there's at least a 50% chance that the in-service injury or incident is related to the current disability, and he explains. He needs to medically explain and give a rationale as to how they're related. That's really all there is to it. It doesn't need to be 10 pages long. It just really needs to explain how the two are linked together medically. Okay, but I would reach out to your regional office for a copy of that Nexus letter or medical opinion letter. John Kasuba, I missed that answer to this question. What was the question? Can you ask the question again, sir? Jesse Neff, can a veteran change his rep from American Legion to DAV? The answer is yes. You can change your rep. Now, we tend to not just want to we want to find out what it is the veteran's trying to do. And a lot of times they're just unhappy with the services, but we don't want to pull them in the middle of an appeal just because, we don't know the background of why they're in that process. But you can take the power of attorney no matter what, but you want to try and see if they're willing to contact their office. A lot of times they're just frustrated they can't get a hold of that service organization, but yes, they can change representation at any time. Sandra Odell, I registered from another email address and received the materials at my other email address. I was not able to telephone in this morning. The ID and password provided were not valid. The last SO training I received was 11 years ago. I am affiliated with Lodi chapter. I haven't notified the chapter of interest and registered due to COVID-19 at the end of training today, and the password is given. If it doesn't work, then how can one complete the training? It is a disservice to all DAVs because of technology issues. Sandra, I would reach out to the department or your local chapter to find out. I do apologize you weren't able to get in sooner. I really don't have much of an answer for you. I'm just giving you the training session for today. Instead of a Nexus letter stating a percent, would it be more favorable if the statement says the condition is more likely than not due to the veteran service? Richard Valdez, so usually a Nexus letter won't state a percentage. The doctor that's writing the medical opinion letter is probably not going to give a percentage. He just needs to state whether it's more likely than not that the condition is related to the military injury. That's it. He doesn't have to give a percentage, and usually you don't want him to because he don't know. The VA is the one that will give that percentage. Pilots are reluctant to talk to medical people as they may lose a flight status. What happens? Yeah, it's unfortunate. We hear it all the time. Pilots don't report their injuries because they don't want to be grounded. Hey, it's really, there's not much we can do about that. There's no way to work around it. It's just like you get injured and you just suck it up and keep going. If you don't document it, it's like it never happened. You can get buddy letters, witness statements, things like that to try and support it. But at the end of the day, what they're looking for is that in-service injury report. So yeah, there's really not much we can do if they don't have any documentation. John Kasuba, I hope that answered your question. Gotcha, Richard. I understand what you mean. Yeah, I was just stating you wanted to say it's at least as likely as not. They can go ahead and say it's 50% or greater probability. They can go ahead and say that. That's fine. I was thinking a percentage as far as a rating percentage. But yeah, either way is fine. But usually the verbiage is at least as likely.
Someone had asked about forms.
Yeah, we gave that website earlier.
Hey, because if you go in the website on the VA, well, anyways, it's the book, the training manual, the DAV Service Officer's Guide has all the form numbers on there and what they're used for.
Okay, yeah, you can go out, you can use those too.
Site, the VA website, and ask for the Service Officer's Guide, and then they'll be able to print that out or whatever, and all the claim forms are on there and what they're used for.
Thank you for that.
No problem.
Andrew Lentz, how do you find support for job-specific injuries that might not have been reported while in service? You're really gonna need a doctor to explain whether or not your job duties were the cause of these injuries. So he would need to medically explain that if there is no evidence of the injury while in the military. Okay, guys, the time is up. I'm gonna go ahead and bid this back off so we can get it rolling again. And then I'll try to get back to the answers once we're done with these other slides. Okay. Okay. Suicide prevention. Veteran suicide has received a lot of attention in the past few years as data revealed that veterans commit suicide at a higher rate than civilian counterparts. Here's some of what we know. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the U.S. Every 12.3 minutes, someone dies by suicide in the U.S. Women attempt suicide 3 times more often than men, and men die from suicide 4 times more often than women. Veterans account for 18% of adult suicide in the United States, but make up about 9% of the population. Veterans are more likely to use firearms to commit suicide than the general population. On average, there are 764 suicide attempts per month among veterans receiving recent VA healthcare services. 25% of veterans who died by suicide had a history of previous suicide attempts. Yeah, those numbers are pretty large. The biggest thing to take from this suicide prevention, obviously, is we want to make sure that there's always help. Always hear somebody out. Don't ignore it. So if someone's talking like that, there's hotlines, VA hotlines that they can call, and they can always call 911. And don't leave the individual. Don't leave them alone. is one of the biggest things that you want to make sure you're staying with them, because a lot of times they have difficulty expressing how they what they're going through, and so you just gotta look for those telltale signs and just stick with them. How can we, the DAV, join the fight against veteran suicide? As veterans advocates, service officers, support staff, and representatives of the DAV, we are in contact with veterans every single day. Courage is not always going into a burning building, or placing yourself in harm's way to assist a fellow veteran. Sometimes you can save a life by having the guts to ask a question: are you thinking about killing yourself? In the past, we have clouded this question with politeness or avoid it altogether. As veterans advocates, we can no longer allow ourselves to feel uncomfortable asking the hard question, and we must train ourselves to ask a question in part of a caring conversation naturally and be prepared for an honest answer. Remember, you don't have to be an expert to ask if someone is going through a difficult time or having thoughts of suicide. If you notice changes in a veteran's behavior or mood, or you think they might be in a crisis, it's time to respond. The simple act of having a conversation can help save a life.
Hey, Carlos, and one thing with our office, our boss makes sure that we have a card for veterans that are right here in front of us. So if you see something going on, pass them that card. There's been times where veterans went from our desk to upstairs on the second floor, mental health. So if they're there in front of your face, don't send them away. Try to get them help.
Yes, that is very true. Always want to make sure that we that we have some materials readily available for them. There's magnets that you can put around your desk. Just have it readily available so you can help them and refer them to some resources. Safety measures to remember during a crisis. For your safety, it is our number one concern, so please make sure you and your fellow veterans and bystanders are not in harm's way when making an intervention during a crisis. Remember, never negotiate with someone with a gun. Get to safety and call 911. Call 911 immediately if the veteran has taken pills, cut himself or herself, or done harm to him or herself. Save. The VA has adopted the I don't know if that's an actual word. The
Mnemonic.
SAVE to assist. I'm assuming acronym. SAVE to assist you in remembering how to identify a veteran in crisis and what steps to take after identification. S is for signs. There may be several signs in a veteran's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that a veteran is considering suicide and needs help. They include hopelessness, anxiety, agitation, insomnia, feeling no reason to live rage, anger, increasing alcohol or drug use, withdrawal from family or friends. A is for ask. If there is any suspicion that a veteran is considering suicide, it is vital to ask the most important question of all. Are you considering killing yourself? Ask in as natural way as possible and be comfortable asking the question. It's okay to ask. V is for validate. Listen to the veteran and realize that the situation is serious. Don't be judgmental. Talk openly about suicide. Listen to the veteran and allow him or her to express themselves. Reassure the veteran that help is available and you will assist him or her in finding it. E is for expedite and encourage. Let the veteran know that there are experts out there that can and want to help them. Don't leave the veteran alone and quickly get them in contact with the Veteran Crisis Line or counselor. ACE. The VA has created 3 simple steps that family members and friends and community members can take help the veteran in need. Ask the question, are you thinking about killing yourself? Do you think you might try to hurt yourself? Ask directly. Care. Remove any means that could be used for self-injury. Stay calm and safe. Actively listen to show understanding and produce relief. Escort. Never leave the veteran alone. Escort to emergency room or medical clinic. Call VA Suicide Prevention Hotline.
All right.
And And if you're able to print out this guide, you can keep this near you, and it even has a number on there for the VA suicide prevention hotline. And if you don't have this, I'll give you the number. It's 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-TALK. And if you want the whole number, it's 1-800-273-8255. Oh, here's the information again. Contact and resources for suicide prevention, Veterans Crisis Hotline. Again, 1-800-273-8255. And press 1. You can also send a text for those that have the capabilities and know how. Send a text to 838-255. You can also chat online with the Veterans Crisis Line.net/chat. And then there's a link down there for local resources. Lee, do you want to take over this Mission Act?
All right, Mission Act. What is the VA Mission Act of 2018? The VA Mission Act of 2018 is the foundation that will fundamentally transform elements of the VA's healthcare system. VA maintaining integral system and strengthening integrity outside the networks of Acts of 2018 was signed into law by the President on June 6, 2018, the Mission Act. Delivering excellent experience of care for veterans, families, and caregivers is the core of the VA's approach to the Mission Act. VA is one integrated system with internal and community aspects of care delivery. And what that is even though the VA is separate, benefits and health, so where a veteran can see their doctor and the doctor asks any change and they change the address, the benefit side of the house doesn't have that. But if information was still delivered to one, maybe an appeal is needed, it didn't get past to the other, still grounds for a possible effective date. The Mission Act strengthens both aspects of care delivery and empowers the veteran to find a balance in the system that is right for them. The VA is leveraging this opportunity to grow into an optimized customer-centric network. Go ahead, Carlos. Combines multiple community care programs into a unified, integrated experience. So they have several things, transportations. They have transportation for all veterans getting to VA Health, but then they have certain transportations for veterans who are in more severe physical need. Expands eligibility for healthcare services to all areas of veterans. They were having healthcare for Gulf War, so they're trying to fulfill the needs for other veterans as well. Authorize anywhere to anywhere telehealth provision cross state lines. I can be here in California, go down to Michigan, and my health records will still be there. Establish the VA Center of Intervention for Care and Payment. Strengthens VA's ability to recruit and retain clinicians. Empower veterans with increased access to community care. Creates ability for the VA to match infrastructures to the veterans' needs. Establishes access to urgent care in the community. Go ahead, Carlos. Let's see, Mission Act. Veterans receive new benefits under community care programs. These benefits include access to limited urgent care, enhanced eligibility for community care, new scheduling up by the veterans and VHA. community care providers, establishment of community care network and veterans care agreements. Community providers must now undergo an industrious standards credential process, be subject to an exclusionary process, complete mandatory training, including opioid safety training, use new technology intended to streamline bi-directional communication with the VA, submit claims within 180 days from the date of service. All right, VA staff, introduction of new and modernized IT systems and business process intended to result in fewer manual process, increase availabilities of performance metrics, new optics of care coordinating, and auditorable information sharing. Go ahead, Carlos. All right, so getting enrolled in the VA. Go to the VA, schedule an appointment with your VA provider, doctor. Your VA care team will work with you to see if you are eligible for community care. Eligibility is based on medical needs, care that are available at the VA, and other requirements. Number 2, make an appointment. VA will work with you to find community providers and make an appointment. You can select community providers, or VA can select one for you. Number 3, receive care. Arrive promptly at your appointment. If you need schedules or follow-up appointments, check with your community provider to make sure VA has authorized the care. Let's see. All right, community care eligibility criteria. Veteran needs a service not available at the VA facilities. So if I had a condition where they wanted to send me, they didn't have it at the VA at the time, they wanted to send me to Sharps Hospital. So if that's the case, work through the VA for that. Make sure you work through the VA. If you try to move on your own for it, then it could be at your cost. Keep in mind too that when you are there, because something is offered at that other hospital, before you accept it, as far as braces or something, make sure you get with the VA side to see that they're going to approve of that. Just because you go there doesn't mean that all services there are automatically approved. Veteran lives in the U.S. state or territories without full service VA medical facility. Veteran qualifies under grandfather provision related to distant eligibility for Veterans Choice Program. VA cannot furnish care within certain designated access standards. It is in the veteran's best medical interest. A VA service line does not meet certain quality standards. So they won't just send you anywhere. Kind of off subject, but I guess it's kind of in the minds of home loans. They can still not give you a loan if they don't deem the house quality. Here goes some contact resources. Take your time and write that down. We got VA Community Care, fact sheet, website, credit hotline. All right, some dues. Refer all inquiries to the NSO. If you got a question, give us a call. Instead of just going off of hope, kind of feeds back to, let me get educated so that way I can educate the client. Immediately forward all communications to the NSO. And I know our guys, they do a pretty good job of that. What's that, the turn of the month, a whole new effective date. So get it to us so we can get it up to keep that proper effective date. Submit completed and current claimant information. I'm going off of, the system that I'm working on, CMS with us. I'm going off the information that you provide. So if CMS is blank for an email, but you got that email address, I'm putting it in there. You never know when we gotta contact the veterans, especially now where things is changing. We're contacting veterans for virtual. So if their phone number isn't up to date, hey, we can shoot them an email. Let's see, maintain contact with the NSO, and that falls in with education. If they have a question that we didn't go over, we can talk about it. A lot of times I find that we already went over it. They just need reinforcement. Keep it simple, most definitely. Carlos was talking about the Nexus Letter. Everything is simple. He was saying it doesn't need to be 10 pages. Make it real simple. We can move on. Don'ts. Don't maintain any client files or records. And that's right. I get veterans who say, okay, well, I send you my medical records. You can go over and I'll be back next week to come pick them up. No, that's not how it works. If you leave them, I'm going to submit them to the VA. Don't complete unfamiliar forms or applications. Right, so kind of safeguard safety guideline, like boss was saying, go to va.gov. The form should be there. Just don't go to Google, and because it says VA, it's legit. So go to va.gov. Don't submit any claimant correspondence or evidence directly to the VA. Once again, all medical evidence isn't good medical evidence. So part of my job is maintaining what you have. You want to file a claim, 10% for your fee. Your friends told you it was low, but 10 might be a righteous call for you. So let's go over the schedule rating, find out where you lie. Another thing is a veteran might have bad knees, but they take injections in their knees. So the most recent even though your knees are bad, is based off of those injections. So I'm looking at it knowing that you 8 months out the year, you maintain maybe at a 30% level, but you looked real good 2 days after your injection. Now let's not do that. Do not promise anything. Going back to what boss says. Yeah, I'm not promising nothing. Veterans that say, hey, if I do this, it's going to come out this way. Hey, this is the way the VA likes it. Let's give them what they want. If they say no, they're going to tell you why they said no, and that's what we can fight. We can fight that reason they said no. Let's see, Department and Chapter Service Officers Information Resource, available as digital PDF files on the members only section of DAV.org. Let's see. I guess it's some for those who are needing the credentials. You got the questions, the open book test, and the time. I think we have one more slide. Yeah, congratulations. Say thanks for bearing with me. And I started to get anxiety for a second. I should have used this videotape to up my percentage.
All right, guys. Does anybody have any other questions before we close this session out? I'll give you guys some time for questions.
Now, it's still the same as it was before. You have the form and you give the form to the client or the veteran, and they are the ones that need to fill out each and every item, and you cannot fill out anything for them.
You can assist them. So no, you can fill it out for them as long as they're the ones giving you the information. Like I said, a veteran comes in, it'll go quicker if you know how to fill out the form and what goes where. you can fill out their information. Hey, what's your name? What's your last name? What's your social? And you can help them fill it out. Or you can give it to them and they can fill it all out and give it back to you. The biggest thing is they got to be the ones that sign it. They have to be the ones that sign it when it's their original claim. If it's their first time ever filing a claim, that claims application has to be signed by the veteran. It has to be original signature. Um, Once we have representation and we're their advocate organization, the representative, we the regional office, service office, national service officers, we can go ahead and sign their claims applications.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna answer some questions here. So Ronald Sanders, what is the code that we need for level 1 training tomorrow? I'm sure hopefully either Robert Graves or Rick Ramos will give us that code, or you'll get an email with that. Honestly, I don't know about the code. Whatever way you got in today, I would assume it's going to be the exact same way you're going to log in again tomorrow. I would check your email. I think it wasn't included in the email that they sent you. Richard Valdez wants to thank JR. I know that you did as well. Those haven't. Okay. So he just wanted to say thanks, Richard Valdez. Mike Silstra, when do we get the password for tomorrow's session? Okay, again, I think Robert Graves or Rick Ramos will be the ones issuing that out. We don't have a password that we're given. I'll ask here shortly in a minute. And if I get an answer, I will let you guys know. But the same way you logged in today should be the same way you log in tomorrow. Phil Graff, does DAV help with charges for accidents where the vet was seen by community hospital and is facing large charges? Not that I know of. But I mean, if the veteran went to a hospital and he's service connected, he can try and see. I mean, if it was an emergency, the VA might cover it. I know that there's, you have about 72 hours. You can go to an emergency room that's not the VA as long as you report that you had to go to the emergency room within 72 hours. But you got to notify the VA so that they either can try to take you to the VA hospital or they can make arrangements as to whether they're going to do the covering of those expenses. But to answer the question as far as whether DAV will help with the charges, not that I know of. Ronald Sanders, they stated at the beginning of the session that those who stayed to the end would be given. It's not in the email. Okay, so again, Robert, do you know about the password for tomorrow's session? I'll get a lot of questions regarding that.
Okay. So once again, we'd like to thank everybody who took today and tomorrow to go through this chapter service officer training with us. Fortunately for everybody that is on here, there is no change. There's no extra link or another password. We're unable to do that. That was something that we had hoped would be a safe way to move into tomorrow. But if you're currently on this link, use the same link you joined with today to join tomorrow, and you'll be good to go. But outside of that, it's the same smooth sailing as you experienced today. 09 tomorrow we'll kick off with chapter leadership forums. The very first thing we'll have is we'll have a patient advocate from the VA come and talk to us about the vaccine, the COVID vaccine within the VA system, right? So if you have questions on that, be prepared to ask them tomorrow, and we'll try to get through all the questions. And right after that, J.R. Wilson, past state commander and benefits protection team leader for the state, as well as our legislative director, he'll be presenting a hour to hour and a half presentation on the issues that we are currently focusing here on California. in how to get involved at the chapter level to help combat some of that stuff as it pertains to resolutions and whatnot. So please join us at 09 for that. And then the chapter service officer training will begin tomorrow promptly at 1200, not 1300. So, and then join us for the SEC meeting at 1500 to listen to what our leaders of the state have been doing for the past year. So thank you NSOs for allowing me to jump in on.
Yeah, I'm just, Robert's just finishing up.
So thanks for letting me jump into your portion of this. Again, anybody who's here, thank you for coming and giving us some time and spending the weekend with us. Gallardo, it's back on you guys.
All right, can you, so I'm just gonna finish answering these questions, and then we'll see you guys again tomorrow, okay, guys? So I'm gonna answer the questions that we have here posted. Mario Flores, due to COVID-19, the majority of veterans are submitting their electronic signature on the VA forms, i.e. 526C, 4138, and 686C. Is this acceptable? Yes, the VA currently is accepting electronic signatures on VA forms from the veterans and from the service officers, national service officers. So yeah, electronic signatures are okay. Christina Silva has a question for Robert. I just joined and I hope to be able to continue becoming a chapter service officer for this year, but had a work meeting in the field all day. Am I good to attend tomorrow and being certified? That was for you, Robert.
I just typed back, but yes, Christina, you have already gone through the Service Officer 1 training. Typically, the first day of CSO training is a refresher for most and introduction to the beginning processes of chapter service officer training. We do know that you specifically have been here for multiple chapter service officer 1 trainings, so you will be fine. But and to most of you asking that same question, either you didn't have your video on and you were just here for audio, or otherwise, again, how the chapter service officer training will work this year, because National has already deemed it not, there's no necessary avenue testing process, right? We're not testing anybody. What we're doing is we're opening this up, and the chapters that you're a part of do still have to acknowledge that you've gone through the training. So once the chapters go through the service officer addendum and add your name to that, that is the only time that you'll be recognized by National as a chapter service officer. So there's still a little work to do on the back end of this, but everybody that has come through the training this weekend will be acknowledged as a CSO that has gone through the annual training.
Hey, Robert, somebody's asking if there's a direct link to these PowerPoints that we're using. I know they're like on the DAV.org members only tab, but they're asking for a direct link. Just DAV.
What I'll do is I'll grab the PowerPoint. If you can, send me the PowerPoints you're using. And what I'll do is I'll upload them on the leadership collaborative page that we have. So do I have the ability to share screen? I can't share screen. Okay. So, okay, I guess I can now. All right. For those of you who are part of the leaderships of your chapters, right? If you go to www.davcal.org, and right here at For Members, you'll see this chapter leadership tools. There's a password to get in here, so please talk to your chapter leadership to get the password or access. But you can see right here, we have click here for common chapter documents, and then orientation PowerPoints, our directories and our bylaws and in our national and department bylaws, as well as our directory. And then going to the VABS guidebook, right? So this is what we presented last year at national, the Veteran Affair Voluntary Service Guidebook, which should cover all of the volunteer processes that we engage in, as well as how to get engaged in them, as well as the LVAP app and whatnot. But also down here, you'll see webinars and training, right? So from national, and because the NSOs are a national or a national team member, right? They're an entity of national. The training and webinars will go straight in here. So make sure that your chapter leadership has access to this. If they don't, have them email me. But everything will be right here, including the PowerPoints that are presented today. Good to go?
Okay. One of the other questions that's on here was Terry Pack. This is Louis Adame, Chapter 46 member, attending first time VSO training. I registered, but when I sent a question, reauthorized person able to sign for veteran, the name showed up as another person. Will I get credit?
Here, I'll just, if there are any technical issues that any of you have questions about, please email me at hq@davcal.org. Again, that's HQ as in headquarters, DAV as in Disabled American Veterans, CAL as in California for short, .org, davcal.org.
Got a question for you. Do we need to download the PowerPoint for tomorrow?
No, we're going to do the same thing that we did today. I would recommend it just so you have it there if you want to have it and take your own notes on the side, but it's going to be the same way that we had it today. It'll be visible there for you. And then we're going to go off of it just like we did today.
Okay, so I don't need to download PowerPoint.
No, you're not if you don't want to. No.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, that's for you, Robert, from Christina again. That's all the questions. Richard Valdez just wanted to mention there is other rules, conditions associated with VCCNN provider programs. If you're not familiar with it, I advise that you learn about it. The program is often referred to as a new choice program. So he's just saying, just make sure you're well educated and informed about the outside care that you're going to be receiving to make sure that you're not charged for it. So if you have questions, please call the VA or call your local DAV regional office for some guidance on that. Joseph Skoda, what's for dinner? Don't know, brother. But if there's no other questions, guys, that concludes our training session. We will see you guys tomorrow. And that's all I got. Thank you, guys.
Well, everybody be safe and see you tomorrow.
Bye.